further details about why Esade, why the program, and so on. Maya, would you like to start?
Sure. So hi, my name is Maya. I'm originally from Johannesburg. I went to school there, went to school called St. Mary's. Then I did 5 years at UCT, took the long route. And I'm at Esade now. I'm doing my master's in finance, like Myles. And I actually went to UCT at the same time as Amy.
Amy? Well,
hi, my name's Amy. I'm from KwaZulu-Natal, but I also lived a little bit in Johannesburg. Like Maya said, we both studied at UCT together. I did my undergrad in politics, philosophy, and economics. And then I went to go do my honors at WITS, and I did my honors in applied development economics. And then I worked in Johannesburg for, I think, like just over a year. And now I'm at Esade doing international management.
Maya, could you please? Yeah, thanks. Myles, please introduce yourself.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Myles. I was a student at Esade last year and then ended in sort of October this year. I studied agricultural economics and economics at Stellenbosch Uni. I worked as a data analyst at a startup in Johannesburg. I went to school in Pretoria, St. Albans College. And yeah, now I'm working in London as an M&A analyst here. So yeah.
All right, thanks. So I prepared some questions. I suggest that I just start the conversation, but at any time, feel free to interrupt. And then if you have questions, feel free to interrupt and ask Amy, Myles, and Maya. So my first question for you would be like, why did you decide to start to study a master after your bachelor, right? And why did you decide to look abroad, and why not study a master in South Africa? So yeah, maybe Maya, you want to start first again?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry about that. I was just muted. So I really wanted to spend a bit of time outside SA. As much as I love South Africa, I can see myself eventually coming back one day. I really just wanted an opportunity to meet new friends and just have like a new big experience. Esade is a really well-recognized university, and I kind of figured like now was the time just to do it. I'm sorry I don't have like a more profound reason, but I knew I wanted to do my master's in finance, and Esade has a really incredible master's in finance program. I knew I always wanted to work overseas for a bit in my 20s. So this kind of felt like a really nice way to make some friends, make some connections, and kind of get my career abroad started. That's me.
Thank you, Maya. Amy, what about you?
So for me, the master's was kind of to try and make me a bit more competitive in the international market. I think if I was to stay in South Africa and look for a job, then just with my undergrad and honors, I would have been fine. But I knew I wanted, like Maya, I want to work overseas, even if just in the beginning. So a master's really helps differentiate you in the market. And then for going overseas, I mean, it's an amazing experience. You learn so much. It's so much. So I live in KwaZulu-Natal, but I studied in UCT, and even that was a big step because it's quite far from home. But when you're in a completely different continent, country, culture, it is such a learning experience. So studying overseas has already helped me so much, just broaden your horizon, mentally and physically.
Thank you, Amy. Myles.
Okay, so yeah, I think the main thing is just to differentiate myself, to get a better job and sort of move into the finance sector. I think unless you're doing sort of like actuarial science or accounting, where there's sort of levels and further qualifications, a master's in finance really sets you apart. And then I think overseas, I think everyone would have their own reasons or many different reasons. I have an older brother that went overseas and loved the experience. Most of my family is not from South Africa, all over Europe and the UK. So I had spent a lot of time overseas and I wanted to come sort of work here. I also had the passports, which made it a lot easier. So yeah.
All right. And then I would like to hear a bit more about the decision process, right? So, of course, when you apply, when you decide to do your master abroad, you're going to be comparing different schools. And what was your decision or your motivation for choosing Esade and not another school? So yeah, maybe Myles, you wanna continue? Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the main differentiator that I looked at was the rankings. The Master in Finance rankings were quite high. I didn't want to go to the UK just because I wanted to actually work there and go there afterwards. So I wanted a new experience. So in terms of Europe, Esade was ranked quite highly. Then there's a couple other universities with similar rankings, and I think that's where Barcelona came in as kind of the difference, the lifestyle and the city. So I think those are the two main reasons.
What about you, Amy?
For me, like Myles said, I just looked up top business school and Esade came up. So that was a big contributor. My degree, international management, was ranked 8th in the Financial Times this year. So it's an amazing degree. And then also I was going to look at Ireland to study as well, my master's, and it's very cold. So the weather here was a big plus for me, being outdoors, the social life, all that, big plus. Yeah, and I think just Esade, because I looked at some other business schools in Spain, but Esade, just the way they approached the whole admission process, applying, all that, it was very professional. It was very much geared towards the future, AI, innovation, all that. So it ticked all of my boxes.
Thank you, Amy. Maya?
I mean, I totally agree with everything that Amy and Myles have said. I had like friends who'd been to Esade before, who just absolutely loved it. They made like the most incredible friends, and they only had amazing things to say. I mean, the weather is amazing. We're almost like heading into the depths of winter, and it's like Cape Town weather, like 12, 13, 14 degrees here every day, not colder. And the weather is really fantastic. I know you can't base everything off that, but it makes a big difference. Like the sun is shining every day. And there's so much going on. Like there's so much life in Barcelona. There's always something happening. And it's a very exciting place to be. And as a non-Spanish speaker, I don't really see myself ever living here again. And I think that it's just an amazing place for like young people to come and have this experience. I mean, I did look at other universities like IE and Bocconi because I got into both of them. And I actually spoke to some people I knew who'd gone to both of those universities, and they both kind of said the same thing, was that all their friends who went to Esade kind of ended up getting the same kind of jobs and had a lot more fun doing it. So they were all like, in terms of experience and lifestyle and costs, Barcelona is probably the best out of all of those, which kind of made it quite an easy decision for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, you mentioned already jobs, opportunities afterwards. So, and Myles, while you graduated already from the program, so I would like to talk a little more about career opportunities. Maybe first, Myles, and tell the candidates a little bit more about how you got to, well, your current job. How was the process during the year? What were the activities that really helped you career-wise, right? And maybe also some examples of your peers that graduated with you that you know that where they're working, what they're doing. Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, yeah. So just try to answer all of that. So yeah, I think most people in the finance class wanted to go into investment banking, and mergers and acquisitions as well. That was sort of the main focus. And I think the application process is really, really hard. The careers department does a really, really good job in the sense that they set up sort of career fair days where other companies come in and they show you a bit of the day in the life of someone at that company, and they really sort of expose you to what there is out there and open the doors. But there's only so much they can do, so it does take a lot of time and effort to go through the applications. And I think it's just a bit of a numbers game. It all depends on passports. If you want to be in the UK, that makes a bit of a difference if you have a UK passport. And just kind of, yeah, what experience that you have sort of before you came to Esade. I know a lot of people have done summer internships and they go back to the company again for full-time role afterwards. So that makes a huge difference. But yeah, I think it's just you spend a lot of time applying, going through interview prep, and it's a good learning experience too. It helps you a lot. It also sort of helps you go over all your work and practice for interviews, and they kind of test you and everything in the interview. So you just recap all your knowledge. So if you can do that before or just after exams, that also helps a lot. And then more to answer maybe the success stories. I guess when we were applying, Maya, it wasn't the best time because of the whole energy crisis and the war in Ukraine. So a lot of the companies were laying off, a lot of the big investment banks were laying off a lot of people, which made the job search a lot tougher. And I guess you just got to pivot and see what you can do. As I said, most people wanted to go into M&A at first, but I know a couple of South Africans went to sales, went into wealth management, sort of just adjusted sort of their approach to what they got and what they were more interested in. Before, I didn't even really know what the difference was and the different divisions in investment banking. So by doing research, preparing for interviews, looking into companies, going to career fairs, I really found what I wanted to do. There's also, I'm sure we'll get onto it, but different electives that you can take, and they kind of expose you to that industry and what the job would be like. So there, I guess it's a constant ongoing process, and the careers team is there to help you.
Maybe Maya and then also Amy, what has been your experience so far? Because I mean, once you start a program, you start working with a career and you are participating in all those career activities, right? So what has been your experience so far? Maya, maybe you first.
So I'm having a bit of a similar experience to Myles at the moment. Like I've just been doing applications and applications. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's not an easy process, but the careers team does make a big difference. Esade has like a few big companies that they work with, that they recruit from, like they want Esade students. And like I've had like some good application experiences with those people. And it's even just been nice to have a few different interviews just to get an idea of what it's like to have an interview and really just prepare you for super big interviews as well. They are super helpful. I mean, the other day I had like a mock interview with someone on the careers team. I've had like 3 or 4 different meetings with these people where they look through my CV and they kind of like help me fine tune my CVs and my cover letters for all the different applications I've been doing for like different specific sectors. So that has been really useful. Like if you do come to Esade, please take advantage of the career counseling team because they are absolutely incredible and they really know what they're doing. I mean, we've had incredible career days with all the big names like Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, UBS, the list goes on. So it's been nice to get a bit of face time with companies like that and kind of see what they're looking for, and kind of just have an idea of where I stand and what I want to do. Because a lot of the time, like you come to a school like Esade and you study finance and you're like, wow, I really want to do investment banking. But like you get to learn a bit more about what the job is like and what the different sectors are like. And you actually like, I'm actually now looking more into sustainable investment management program kind of jobs instead of like investment banking. So I've just had a really amazing experience with the careers team and they definitely have helped me a lot so far.
Yeah, so Maya, and also for you, you might have seen that we have a brand new master program this year, which is a master in sustainability. So Maya, I'm sure that when it comes to the electives in the last term, you will be able to choose electives from focused on sustainability, right? Which could be very interesting for you.
I already have.
Oh, you already have them.
Definitely have.
All right.
Well, I chose the all the sustainable finance electives.
Oh,
I
nice.
think it's so exciting, and yeah, Esade has a really big like ESG focus, and they even have like a sector of the careers team that is just devoted to like ESG jobs. And like they have like an ESG consultant. So for like such a new sector, it was so awesome to like be able to speak to people who already had such like a big footprint within the community.
Yeah. And what about you, Amy? What regarding the international management, what are the companies that you've been interacting with for career opportunities?
Unlike the finance team, all the big application stuff hasn't really started. The finance students usually start applications a lot earlier than us, so there hasn't been that much involvement. But I mean, the career team at Esade is, and that's one thing that I wasn't expecting going to Esade, was just how advanced the career team is. They are there to assist you with everything, like Maya said. So I haven't got into it that much, but there is definitely like if you need help, that's where you go. And then also just, I think Myles said it, he brought it up, be aware that the passport thing is a real big issue. I've got the old good South African passports, and when applying for jobs, even inside Europe, in the UK, all that, it can be a big barrier to entry, just because a lot of the jobs don't give you sponsorship until you get the job. And if you don't have sponsorship, you can't actually apply for a work visa. So it's a little bit of a weird system. But yeah, so that is definitely a big barrier to entry to just consider. But the careers team at Esade will help you through that entire process.
All right. So we already talked about electives, and there are different ways to customize.
Sorry, OC, can I just add on to something that Amy said? So like, just for instance, like, I'm very lucky, like I do have some citizenship, and it has helped me a lot, but there are a lot of companies that are looking to sponsor people. But just on top of that, like, let's say you just do the masters and come back to SA. Like, for instance, I recently did like an internship at R&B for 3 months in Johannesburg, and every single person in my team had at least worked in London for 3 years or had an international master's. Like, even back in SA, like, things are becoming a bit more competitive, unfortunately, and people really do value having some sort of international qualification or experience quite a lot. So I think like even to carry on working in SA, I think it really makes you stand out.
Yeah, because we do have several South Africans that went back, not only from the master programs, but then also for the those that did full-time MBA, that really got really good opportunities. One of our MBA graduates, she got opportunity to open the office of Simon Kucher in Johannesburg. So she's managing the office, for example. So she with experience that she got, and then also the internship that she did abroad, she really stood out of all the candidates, she said, right? So yeah, even those of you that want to go back, I mean, doing an international master will give you a lot of advantages. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit less now. What I also would like to talk a little bit more about, and maybe a question for Myles, because he has gone through the entire program. So there are different ways to customize a program. We just briefly mentioned the electives that will come in the third term, but then also the study tours. So maybe Myles, do you want to tell us a bit more about how you customized the program towards, I would say, your professional aspirations? So yeah.
Yeah, so I think the big thing was a study tour. I think it changes every year, but we had a couple of the options. I decided to go to Canada, Toronto. That was just more of a personal reason. I knew I was probably going to go to London afterwards. I probably wouldn't have another chance to go to America and Canada for extended period of time, 2-3 weeks. So I took the opportunity to go do the study tour there. Each study tour does have different sort of modules or electives. I think mine was more tailored towards blockchain. You can even join the SEMS or the Masters in Management study tours or some of the other marketing study tours if that's something you want to do. So there is kind of a large variety, and I guess it would just be personal preference. I know a lot of my friends wanted to go surf in Portugal, so they went to Portugal for the study tour. And then I think this year's slightly different, but ours crossed over with Easter. So we had 2 weeks after our study tour to go on holiday, and I traveled around New York, off to Canada as well. So I think that makes a difference. And then the electives, you can take finance elective or marketing, or as Maya said, the sustainable investing, and you can really tailor your degree to what you prefer. And yeah, then there's also a skills seminar. I think I took the negotiations in tough environments skills seminar. You can do a bit of Python programming. So there is a large variety of different tracks that you can take. And I guess it's all personal and up to you. There's a whole bidding system that you sort of go through, and you choose the courses and study tours that you want to do.
Yes, so regarding the study tours, and each program has 2 or 3 study tours, right? So you have the preference to choose a study tour of your program, but of course, if you're interested in the topic or in the destination of another study tour, you can then apply and then do that study tour, right? So I think in total there are about 12 or 13. There might be 1 or 2 more this year, because we also have a new program, which is a sustainability program. So yeah, depending on you will have a look like, okay, what is the program about? What is the topic of this week? What is the destination? Is this interesting for me, for my future career? So, well, instead of doing the study tour, the finance study tour, I'm also interested in sustainability, like what Maya said. So why not doing the study tour of that program? So that's completely possible. Now, Myles, I want to ask you about your end project. What was your project about? Because you have the choice to do a thesis, a business project, or an in-company project that is related to your internship, right? So I don't know, Myles, would you like to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so you have the 3 options, as Josie said. I don't know many people that did the in-company project with an internship. If you manage to land an internship and go for it, then I would advise that. But then I ended up doing the business plan. I met a really cool Dutch guy that I got along with really well, and he was doing the double degree. So he did the MIM the year before, and he had already done the business plan, and he kind of told me about it, and we had a cool idea. We did it on the real estate market in Barcelona, and we just sort of did that. We had the deadline, I think, was like middle of October, so we had the whole summer to work on that. No pressure there. You can choose sort of the fast route, where I think you hand in at the beginning of July. But we sort of wanted to enjoy the summer and not stress too much and enjoy our last little bit of Barcelona. And then there is the master's thesis, which is the other option, which a lot of people do, and there's sort of given topics, and I think you can also choose from different programs, and there's a large variety there again, if you want to tailor your project or your thesis towards something that you're interested in. And then the business plan is totally up to you. You can basically choose any project, or any topic. So yeah, there is a lot of flexibility in that, in the timing and the topics.
Okay, thank you, Myles. I still have some other questions that I've prepared, but I think we could maybe open the floor to the candidates that are here. Feel free to ask any questions. I mean, I would invite all of you to switch on the cameras, all of you that are here. Who wants to go first?
Hello, sorry, I came a little bit late. Sorry.
Hi, welcome.
Thanks. I'm just on my phone, so it might not be here.
Okay, Daniel, that's you, right? talking?
Yeah, I'll turn it on.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm recording the session, so please remind me. I can. Oh, there you are. Please remind me. I'm happy to send you the recording afterwards, right?
I wasn't too late. I got most things.
You got most of it. Okay.
Yeah.
But I saw some other candidates coming in a little bit later. So yeah, please go ahead. Any questions?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, Joanna.
So, how was you guys like first day at Esade? Like, what did you guys do? How was the orientation, if there was one? Like, was it a memorable day? Yeah.
I don't mind taking this. So the first week is an orientation week, and that's more just getting to know your lectures, getting to know the head of your program, all of that. I was going into it very nervous because you're in a completely different country with a whole bunch of people that you don't know. But I mean, I think for me anyway, making friends at Esade has been so easy. You have all these people coming from all different backgrounds who want to engage, they want to make friends, they're also stepping out of their own comfort zones. So everyone is talking, you're making conversation, you're going to be asked like a million times, where you from? Is that close to Cape Town? Like a million times. But it was, the first week was like I was scared for it, but it was very easy. It's a great way. And the first week you're so busy. You're going to be drinking nearly every single night, social drinks, going out. The first week is very busy, but it does quiet down much later into the term. Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, I already made a friend. He's actually there, Patrick Kilborn, right there through Esade. Thank you, Ursi.
Actually, thanks. Teed me up there, Joe. Thanks. I actually wanted a bit of a general question. I know a lot of us are currently in the applications process in some form or another. And I wanted to ask to an open question. What did you wish you knew when you were in our position? So what do you wish you'd known when you first applied?
I'm happy to take that. Oh, no, Myles, you go for it.
You too.
Okay. So I think I was like a bit, I don't know, I was just a lot more worried than I should have been. Like just coming from my UCT background and everything, like I was so stressed I wasn't going to make friends, like Amy said, and I was also stressed that like the coursework was going to be really tough, and like maybe I wouldn't have been super prepared for it. I would just like to say that like you are going to be absolutely fine, even if it doesn't feel like it. Someone just asked about the culture. I actually feel like Spanish culture is super awesome. It's like a super diverse country, and people are very, very relaxed here, which is really nice. Like it's a bit of a similar feeling to SA. Like I think Spain is a lot more chilled than SA in very many ways. Like for instance, like something that I just wasn't used to was like in the middle of summer, like all the stores will close from like 1 to 4 or something when people are having like la siestas. Like even now, like in winter, it's happening. Like people will literally just like be taking naps in the middle of the day. But the people are super friendly. I mean, my Spanish is shocking, but it is getting better. I don't know, I really love the culture. But yeah, I would say again, going back to like something I would have liked to have known before, maybe start looking for a place to stay before, like do not leave that super late. And yeah, maybe just like try, like I think it's cool to live with international people. But yeah, anyway, that's all my advice.
And then just adding on that, with regard to like the application process, I mean, the Ursi and Laura, who I don't think is here right now, but it's very helpful. If you have any questions, they will hold your hands throughout the whole process. Yeah, so that's very helpful. But for me, I mean, I'm not really answering your question, I'm not adding on to it. But in my head, I thought, okay, all I have to do is get in, and then it's box ticked, everything's easy. But I found that the process after getting in was way more stressful. Finding accommodation, applying for visas, that for me was way more stressful. So just be prepared for that. It is not fun sitting in South Africa and trying to organize accommodation with Spanish real estate agents and international people that you've never met before. So I definitely think already having someone from South Africa to help in the whole accommodation process is very helpful. Although I live with 2 Germans and 1 Indian guy, and it's really awesome just understanding the different cultures and experiencing that lifestyle with them. So it's also great like that. And accommodation does eventually work out. It doesn't seem like it at the time, but you will have a place to stay once you get here.
I think we should tell the first South African that enrolls in the program, which we already have, that he's going to be responsible for looking for an apartment for all of you.
I'm sure someone can take over the one I'm in now. All of us are going to probably move out.
But every year you guys make up like an Excel sheet, right? For the housing. How does that work?
We do. That's how I found my roommates. Basically, there's like an Excel sheet with like preferences there was one just for my class, but like I know that there's one like a class across all the different masters. So like some people are smokers, some people want to live with men only, some people want to live with women only, some people only want to live in specific neighborhoods, some people want to like throw raves at their apartments. So like there's a whole bunch of preferences, and then like you'll put down what your like preferences are. And then like I kind of just had a lot of similar preferences to this one Italian girl who now is my roommate. And she's like honestly like my best friend. She is incredible. And we ended up living with another Peruvian guy who is also very cool. So yeah, it kind of just comes together, and you definitely will find somewhere to live. My advice is try find a European who can like sign the lease.
Sure.
I mean, you'll definitely still have to pay the deposit or something. And then like just try join them. And don't stay in Las Ramblas, but that's okay. You'll figure that out later on.
And guys, like one more question. How are like the dynamics in class, the relationship with the lecturer, with the students? I'm assuming it's quite a small class because it is a business school. Like, are opinions thrown in more easily? Yeah.
I think just on that, so for international management, there are 130 of us, I think, altogether, and then they split us into 2 different classes. So I think that's 70 each, fast maths. But it depends on the lecturer. Some lecturers are very casual, you can chat. Some it's a bit more professional. And I think also from your background, where you are from, usually indicates how easy you speak up in class. So just from my experience in my degree, like the Germans, they have no problem throwing out opinions, contributing all that, whereas the Chinese students are usually a little bit quieter. So it all depends on that, but in general, it's a very welcome environment for any opinion, comments, all that, regardless of how stupid or small it is. So very open environment to speak up. Because a lot of your grade is based on participation, for my degree anyway. So people are just trying to get as much in as they can, and the lecturers want you to contribute and they want to hear your ideas. And I think especially coming from, in my degree, international management, I'm the only student from the African continent. So I contribute a lot from that viewpoint, because if you do end up going to Esade, you'll hear a lot of Western viewpoints. And it's very funny how little influence the more African and Latin American viewpoints have gone into their views. But so it's the lecturers appreciate us contributing our point of view. So yeah.
Yeah, and maybe just to add to that, you get a name tag. I don't know, it's the same this year, and you have your name on it. And the lecturers not necessarily call you out, but they're quite engaging. I think in my 4 years in Stellenbosch, I probably asked maybe 2 or 3 questions the whole time. And they're once a day, you can participate if you want to, but they might ask you a question or ask for your opinion. And it's really nice. I think, you sit in a lecture sometimes and you just nod your head when the lecturer says something and you're like, yeah, I knew that. But it's really nice to actually try and articulate your answer. I think sort of similar to the saying where they say when you teach someone something or help them or tutor someone and you're really saying what you're thinking, makes a huge difference in sort of learning and understanding. So I think it really, really is nice. And it was one of my favorite aspects of the business school, that you get to interact so much. There's a lot of presentations as well. And I think the South Africans are one of the very few that are native English speakers. So I think we also had an advantage with that. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity to speak, and it's not daunting. It's not scary. I was never nervous. Whereas like Stellenbosch, I was scared to put my hand up and answer a question where, yeah, it's really, I think it's really cool that we had that opportunity. And then for finance, I think it was only sort of 10% of our mark for the subject was based on how much you participated in class. So there's actually someone watching you and marking down sort of every time you say something good or contribute. So that's really nice. But yeah, one of probably the best things of the business school environment and Esade was the interaction with the lecturers and your classmates. So yeah.
I'm gonna throw in a question here, because there's also a lot of interaction with companies, and I mean the program is very practical, right? So I would like maybe to share with the candidates here what are the interactions that you had with companies, the projects that you've been doing. So yeah, maybe Myles, you want to continue, because I mean you've gone through the entire program. What was your experience there?
In terms of, sorry, so just in terms of like the careers and the companies?
No,
or...
not career-wise. I mean, in the program, in the classes, there's a lot of like project interactions with companies where you're going to be working with companies on, well, real challenges. On there's going to be group projects that you're going to be doing, really based on real cases, right? So can you tell a bit more about that?
Okay. Yeah, so I think one of the investments modules, I think it was like BlackRock was releasing certain articles, and on the Tuesday you were sent an email. You have to go read the article, and then you would discuss it on the Thursday. I think there's a couple of things like that where the live sort of ongoing economics and finances of the world get discussed in class. And then sort of that also ties to companies if there's a big merger or acquisition or something going on. If any of the big companies are doing something, that'll be on the news, and you'll sort of go through it and study it in class. And then that was more of the finance aspect. But then there was the business and society module where there was these LBOs, and they were basically trying to encourage sustainability, and it was a startup, and we kind of helped them sort of forecast their finances and the company and where they could improve. And we got a whole big case study, and it was our like 40% of our mark for the one module. So that was a real life example. I think it was a startup in Barcelona too. So that was one of them. And then yeah, I think just anything that is going on in the world, and sort of the latest news gets thrown in, and you do a case study on that. Yeah.
If I can just add on that as well, Ursi, I think my degree as well, international management, has a big focus on, because a lot of people wanting to do consulting afterwards do international management. So we do a lot of projects with other companies. One of our biggest projects is our IPA, International Project in Action, where your group gets assigned a company and you deal with that company directly in implementing a solution for an issue they have. So my company is called Eunice Environmental Hub, and we engage with them directly. Like the lecturer has no involvement at all. We email, meet, all that with the company, and we are currently like implementing a strategy and plan for their new incubator for smart cities in Africa. So that's like the one project. And then another project for digital transformation that I'm working on currently is for KH7, which is a cleaning brand here in Spain. And we've been tasked with implementing AI into their process. So I'm actually presenting on Friday to the company, directly to the company. And if they like our presentation and ideas, they take on that project and they will actually implement it. So a lot of, in my degree anyway, a lot of involvement with companies, interacting with them directly. It's not just fairy ideas, very vague. You are actually dealing with the company. The company will actually implement these solutions. So, and I enjoy that. That's why I went to business school, to do that on hand in. And then also, sorry, just adding on top of that as well, as Myles brought up earlier, you get the 3 options. Instead of doing a thesis, you can do an in-company project, which I'm going to try to do. So that's also, you know, you find an internship and it's more practical based than theory based, which is for me preferable. So lots of opportunities, and Esade can also help you with those ICPs, finding internships and connections through the alumni network. So there's a lot of opportunities like that.
I just had one question. Like, just on average, like how many, like say, modules do you have? Because like it sounds like over the year you do quite a lot of work in different kind of subjects or modules, whatever your electives. It's like on average, if you're not, like how many do you take? I don't know.
I don't mind taking this. At the moment we have 5. I'm not sure what university you went to, but like I find the coursework pretty similar, if not a bit less than like UCT. I did finance and accounting at UCT. I don't find it overwhelming. In fact, I think there's really like sorry.
Just making a joke to Myles, but I went to Marcy's.
So you didn't get into UCT, that's okay. No, I'm kidding, that was a joke.
I like
Stellies is lovely. Probably a bit harder than what you used to at Stellies, I'm not gonna lie. But super manageable. Like when I came in, I remember being like so worried that everyone was gonna be like so much further ahead than me and that I wasn't prepared. And I think we have like a bit of an idealization of like Western countries and their education, and that like their education is a bit better than ours. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a bit scared when I came in. And like UCT had totally prepared me. Like I think we spent the first 3 weeks doing like content that I'd already done in my undergraduate that other people hadn't done, and I was like super impressed. So like I feel like if you study at a university in South Africa, like Wits or Stellies or Tux or UCT, like you actually going to be absolutely fine. You probably are already used to the amount of coursework that we have. And someone just says, are the programs mostly research based or choose coursework, or is it both? I don't think we do a ton of research. It's very practical and you do a lot of projects all the time, which is really great, because like I feel like I'm actually getting like a lot of like industry kind of knowledge from it. Like we had a super awesome course that I think they actually also do in MEM. It's called Corporate Finance, pretty basic course, and like you have to act as like a strategic investor or like a managing team and try and make like long-term decisions for a firm, and then you have to like kind of debate that with other shareholders and stakeholders, and like looking at a real company. And it was really exciting because I think that's kind of the things you actually are going to do in real life. So yeah, I wouldn't say tons of research. Definitely for things like projects, you'll always have to do research, but like I don't think we do tons of research.
Sorry, I have a question as well on the topic of courses. So I was looking at the website, and I was seeing that many of them have a minimum of a grade of 5. So I just wanted to ask, how does grading work? Because I went to UCT, so I'm just, what's a 5?
So here they do it based on like a 10 scale. It's a European scale, and they tell you as you get in, the average is around 8.5 that Esade students get. And like Maya said, I also went to UCT and I went to WITS. They prepare you. 5 is not like, you'll be fine. You'll get way above 5. Don't worry. So like, yeah, it's just the rating scale. But I think even because they grade our participation as well, and I think the lowest grade achieved is a 6.5 for participation. And that's the person, I know the person, he didn't say a word. So it's the minimum is 5, but it's a European gradings.
Amy, in finance, there's definitely been some people who got like way lower than that. But I think in MIM, I think you do have to participate a lot more. But yeah, you are expected to participate a lot, and I think a lot of finance bros are a bit shocked. But honestly, if you went to UCT, nothing you're not prepared for. If not, you're probably over prepared.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, maybe just to go back to Daniel's question earlier, with Stellies. So I think the biggest change is like Stellies, I didn't go to too many classes, and you have a lot of flexibility. Not many classes are compulsory. There's a Tuesday class and a Thursday class. So you can sort of have your fun and then choose to go on the Thursday or catch it up. And I think that's the big difference with the Esade is everything's compulsory and you can only miss 2 lectures a semester. And it's sort of 3, 4, 5 hours of lecture of classes a day, an hour to class, and then maybe an hour back if depending on where you're staying. So I think that's the main differentiator, is that you have to go to class. So you have to be more disciplined, but the workload's not harder. I would say it's a bit easier. And if you want to sort of compare the scale, I think my marks were a lot higher at Esade. And there are certain things where I think the South Africans are more prepared. And I think theory work, accounting, finance, South Africans really know a lot more to say than the Europeans. But then a lot of the Europeans have work experience, and then that counts a lot more for presentations and Excel maybe, and more practical work, participation. But I think overall, I think the 6 South Africans that were there with me, our marks were a lot harder, a lot higher than sort of Stellies, UCT. And yeah, I think it's just a bit of a change in flexibility that you might be used to at Stellenbosch.
Cheers, Myles.
Any other questions? Well, I have one more. What regarding time management? Because there's a lot of additional things that you can add to the program. There's also the clubs, you can study languages, there's social life. So how do you manage your time? Maya, maybe you want to start?
Of course. So I was advised by a friend of mine who went to Esade not to do the language, but I kind of regretted it a little bit because I think my Spanish could use a bit of work. But listen, because you have to be on campus most days of the week, like, and you're doing a lot of time commuting, like it's not like you're stressed, but like there is a bit less time in the day than you're used to. Like you are easily able to fit in things like gym and doing your homework and things like that. There are some really incredible clubs that you can join, like consulting clubs, VC clubs, startup clubs. I saw that there was a pottery club. I'm actually pretty big into yoga, so like that's just something I do on the side, and I still find tons of time to do that. But there are tons of amazing clubs. I mean, I played a bit of paddle, and I was like part of the paddle tournament at Esade. Absolutely useless, but it was tons of fun. And like there's always really awesome activities going on. there's a course called like MIA, so it's like the Masters in Innovation, and they always like planning really cool events that are quite inexpensive in order to like do funding for different startups that they do. So there's always like a cool event going on where you get to do something different, like paddle or soccer, like you start like a little soccer team or something just to do with your friends. I mean, there's an Esade prom happening in like a week. I don't know if I'm going, but I know tons of people who are. There's so much culture and there's so many exciting things happening all the time. So yeah, in terms of that, like 10 out of 10, way better than UCT's or Stelli's, like cultural stuff going on.
If I could just add on that as well. Sorry, Daniel, do you have a question? Yeah, time management's really hard because I think in the back of everyone's head, you know, you're here for 1 year, you're making these amazing friends, you want to experience everything. For me, like right now, exams are starting, but it's also Christmas in Barcelona is nothing I've ever experienced in South Africa. So you want to go to the lights, you want to do the dinners, you want to do all those things with your friends because this is the last Christmas you're going to have in Barcelona. So time management wise, it is very difficult, but I would say my social calendar is usually quite packed and I still manage to make it to lectures and attend. And like Maya said, you are commuting 2 hours to lectures because Sant Cugat is far away. So that's like a big chunk of your day that's left out. But also life in Barcelona stays up so late. So even if I'm getting home at 6:30 after lectures, there's still time to go to the grocery shops, to go to the gym, to go have dinner with your friends, and then still get home, sleep, and be ready for your 8:45 lecture the next day. So you can manage. It is very hard, and later on in the degree you'll learn to say no, but it is. And definitely try take the opportunities to socialize, to get to know Barcelona, make friends, because the networking and the making friends is a big part of going to Esade. Daniel, you wanted to ask a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, are there any like kind of Esade like sports teams and like just like do they have like a gym there? Do they have their own?
Esade does have a gym.
Yeah.
It's
and a rugby team.
Yeah, and a rugby team, which they won. They played against. They went to the university, like it was like a inter-house university championship in Paris, and the women's rugby team did win. We're all very happy about that. Yeah, so there are sports teams. Yeah. But the gym, there's also a gym on campus that is discounted. I do know some people that do enjoy going to the gym on campus because you get a break between lectures. Me personally, I wanted to be able to go during the weekend, and you know, if I woke up late and wanted to go to the gym, whatever, I didn't want to have to go all the way to Sant Cugat, so I chose the gym in Barcelona. But there are sport opportunities, clubs, and even if they're not like sponsored by Esade, the amount of like group chats we have for hiking clubs just make the students just want to hike. So they will make hiking group chats, they'll make yoga group chats, paddle group chats, volleyball group chats. It's separate from Esade. So lots of sporting opportunities. And then there was also a question in the group. Might work experience for some of the programs. Yeah, it's not really work experience. I don't think you could put it on your CV, but it's more just interacting with companies that Esade has very strong relationships with, and it's all very dependent on your degree. So my degree does deal a lot with companies, but some of the degrees don't, and some of these companies, they're very cool. Like the one project, the one group is working with Mango, the fashion brand, and because we're working with Mango, they gave all the students like 10% discounts online shopping. So it's some really cool brands that you can work with. But yeah, I wouldn't call it work experience. Yeah, it's just more of an interactive strategy with the company. And if they choose to take a project, they choose. It's not, yeah.
I think like the careers team, that's definitely something that'll help you find. Like if you're looking for work experience or an internship, like after graduating from Esade, like finding work experience and internships and things like that isn't difficult. I think, as Myles said before, it's more going to come down to like things like visas, stuff like that. Or if you want to do something like super competitive, like investment banking, like it's going to be a lot more tough than if you just wanted to do like a general like analyst position, if you wanted to do, say, finance.
Any one last question? It's almost 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock for you, you that are in South Africa, 6 o'clock for Myles, right? Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still at work.
Just one last question. Which of you guys did the Esade test, or did you guys do both GMAT and Esade? And how did you guys approach the test?
I'm happy to take the. Oh no,
Okay.
you go for it, Amy.
Well, I mean, maybe my answer is different to mine, but I did both the GMAT and I think it's just the GRE. I can't remember the name, the Esade GMAT. I don't want to say don't do both. The GMAT is expensive, and I was busy working while trying to study for it, which was a terrible mistake because you need way more time to do it. If you can do it, you might as well, but I definitely prefer the Esade one. That one's the better option in my opinion. But if you can do both, why not? And then with regard to like studying, I don't know if you just finished your degree or where you are in your academic path. Well done. But I'd been working for quite a bit, and a lot of the questions was like stuff I remember from high school. So it's just like refreshing your mind about that stuff. And if you can get the books, there's like these really overpriced academic books that you can get on Take-A-Lot that are huge. So give yourself some time if you actually want to go through them and make a proper dent. But yeah, it's not, also you're not allowed a calculator in the GMAT, but you are allowed one in the Esade exam, which is very helpful. But the academic level is not crazy in the exam. It's just more critical thinking and problem solving. Maya, if you want to add on that.
I did the GMAT and I did the Esade exam. I think I was applying to a lot of different places, so I think like if you're still not sure if you want to go to Esade or you're looking to go anywhere else overseas, it's really useful to do the GMAT because it gives you more opportunities. But it is a lot harder than the Esade exam, I found, even though like I didn't do badly at all in the GMAT. But the GMAT does take a lot of time and resources to study for. So definitely put a big chunk of your year aside to do that. I don't think it's something that you could like master in 2 or 3 weeks, in my opinion. But you guys will be fine either way. I mean, if you already know that like Esade is a top choice for you, it's definitely worth doing the Esade exam and seeing how that goes.
And so just to clarify, you just need the Esade one to get into Esade, right? Okay.
I think so.
Oh, maybe I can add here. So yeah, so we accept the GMAT, the GRE, and the Esade test, right? So for us, it's not necessary to do the GMAT or the GRE because with Esade, I think somebody has load shedding there.
Load shedding.
So, well, good that you're still here with us, Jana. So you can choose one out of the 3. Now, as Maya and Amy said, the Esade test, I would say, is slightly easier. Why? Because it's not adaptive. You can use a calculator. Now, if you're applying for other schools, of course, they will not accept the Esade test, right? So you would need to do the GMAT or the GRE. Now, you are, of course, very much welcome to do both. And then we will take in account the highest score, right? Now, the Esade test, you can only do it once, while the GMAT you can repeat, right? Now, maybe now I should stop recording, but most of the candidates that do and the GMAT test and the Esade test, they have a higher score on the Esade test, right? So it's up to you. Of course, a higher test score will also give you a higher chance to a higher scholarship. And we haven't mentioned anything about the financing here. I don't know, but we could also do it separate in a one-to-one. So of course, for the admissions to the program, your admissions test is important. I would say that we are stricter with the test score for the finance and the international management because of the quantitative part, right? Which is a fact. But then additionally, if we go to the scholarship, the test score is one of the parameters that we take in account together, of course, with the rest of your profile, your international exposure, your personal impact, and so on. So if we do the calculation, of course, if you have a higher test score, it will add up the total amount for evaluation for the scholarship, right? So I would say you don't lose anything. If you already planned the GMAT or you've already done the GMAT, you don't lose anything. I mean, I would strongly recommend to also do the Esade test because it could, I mean, give you a higher score with then a better chance for admissions and then for scholarship. Yeah. All right. Does anybody has any questions regarding the financing? Because I'm happy to quickly in 2 minutes tell you a bit more about that to finalize. Any questions around that?
Yeah, there was a question in the group chat.
Oh, sorry.
Just regards to like the cost of living in Barcelona. I've personally like going out for restaurants, it's stupidly high. I don't know how they make their how it makes it works, but it's like really expensive for me to eat out at restaurants. As a student, I mean, and these aren't like Michelin star high top-notch Cape Town restaurants. It's averaging at 20 euros, which if you try convert it is a lot of money. But grocery shopping, very similar to South Africa. Clothing shopping, I found way cheaper. So it just depends. And also like Uber, I used Uber to get from the airport to my flat and I haven't touched it since. The public transport here is great. Like you do not need any Uber. Maybe if you've on a night out and it's like 2 in the morning and you have to get home, but you just split it with a friend. But yeah, cost of living is not crazy, but definitely eating out at restaurants it's been the biggest shock for me. But groceries, clothing shopping, stuff like that, technology, if you want to buy a new phone, that's very affordable.
How the pubs?
Oh yeah, buying drinks out is also, I don't know what alcohol they're pouring in that cup, but it's like 15 euros for some fancy. Yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. But it also depends on where you go. And you get used to it. When I first came to Barcelona, I would complain bitterly to anyone that would listen to me about how expensive it was to go out. But you just get used to it. You accept that, you know what, you're paying 15 euros to get into a club and then another 15 euros for a drink. And that's your night out. So you do get used to it. Yeah. But it's expensive.
What is not that expensive in Spain is the wine. If you like wine, right? A glass of wine.
Yes.
That's not that expensive. And the beers, not really neither, I would say. It's really if you go to a club and you want to go for like the typical strong drinks, right? But if you go to the little bars that you have in the
tapas,
and tapas bars, I mean, you can find a wine for €2.5. Well, depending where you go, of course. So you just need to see if you want to go to a fancy club, you're going to pay for it. If you want to go to a local little bar, you're going to pay much less, right?
Also, like they have these little 24/7 grocery shops. You some friends, you get like this 2-liter bottle of sangria that will give you a terrible hangover the next day. It's like €3. You sit on the beach and then you drink that, then you go out. So you know, you make a plan. You realize you're students, you make a plan. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. All right. I think, well, it's we already passed 7 o'clock. I think unless you have any urgent question right now, feel free and fire. If not, of course, I'm here to answer any questions, and I'm going to be in South Africa next week to answer any more questions if you want. So I don't know if all of you received the events that are planned for next week and the week after in South Africa. Have you all received this information? Yeah, okay. So so there's first of all the one-to-one session. So feel free, if you haven't booked yet with me, to book a session with me in Cape Town next week, in Johannesburg the week after. Then in Cape Town we have our study tour for our full-time MBA students. They're gonna be at UCT, so that's why we organized a roundtable with some amazing, interesting speakers, alumni and not alumni collaborators. So our MBA students are going to be there. We have invited alumni and then also candidates. So that's going to be on the 6th of December. You can also sign up there. If you can't be there in person, there's also a streaming option. You just have to register for one or the other option. And then for those of you in Johannesburg, I've also organized very informal drinks, because we have a couple of executive MBA students from South Africa and Eswatini that joined, that are now in Barcelona this week. I organized some informal drinks with them, with some MBA alumni, and that's going to be in Johannesburg on the 11th at 7 o'clock in the Sandton Sun. So if any information is missing that I'm now talking about, just let me know. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you. And
Kirsty, if I can just quickly add something before everyone runs off.
Yes.
You guys want any other questions? I really don't mind. Ursi has my number. You can WhatsApp me. I'm in Barcelona right now going through the whole process. So I really don't mind you guys contacting me directly with any questions.
Yes, I was just going to ask you, Maya is still there? I don't know if she's...
No, she has to go to a meeting.
Yeah, to leave. Okay, yeah. I just wanna ask Amy and Miles if there's any last advice that you want to give candidates, about the program, Esade, Barcelona. Anything you think of that they should keep in mind?
No, nothing comes. I think we've covered quite a lot. I think the big shock to me, I mean, it's not that amazing, but the nightlife only starts at midnight. You're gonna have to change your sleep schedule. There's no going to bed at 10 o'clock. It just doesn't happen. During a work week, it doesn't matter. You're going to go to bed at midnight. So get used to that. Yeah, and then just like the visa for me was a big pain. So be prepared. Maybe do it a little bit earlier. I could have been the problem. I left it very late. But yeah, other than that, it's an amazing experience. And you're going to make friends. I promise you're going to make friends. Everyone is so friendly. They love our accents. They're going to ask you a million times if you're from Cape Town. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, I think it was probably the best year of my life. So I encourage everyone to do it. Nothing to be afraid of. And yeah, Barcelona is probably the coolest city I've ever been to. I'm a bit disappointed that now when I go back, it probably won't be the same with all my friends and the parties and the nightlife, but it's definitely worth it if you can and if you're given the opportunity.
Yeah, I would also say enjoy every minute of it, because it's gonna go so fast this year. I mean, yeah, it will be, I mean, gone before you realize. So yeah. All right, Amy, Miles, thanks for, well, and Maya, she had to leave. Thanks for being here, for sharing your experience. It's always very valuable. I know it's very important for students, and I think it is important, and it should be mandatory for candidates to talk to current students, because it gives you a whole different perspective that what we in admissions can give you, right? So thanks for being here. And then I hope to see you next week or the week after in South Africa. Looking forward to that. Yeah, and I would say have a lovely evening. and nice seeing you.
Thanks, Ursi. Thanks for
Thanks.
also organizing this. Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Bye,
And Amy,
everybody.
good luck for your pitch on Friday. You can do it.
Thank
Good luck.
you. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.